way up to Canada. We welcome you here in Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
Siyo from the Res. I'm Kinley.
And I'm Colt.
And this is Cherokee Nation's official podcast. We bug the heck out of him. He's been in some of our most popular videos and runs his own popular TikTok and Instagram.
He's a Cherokee Nation citizen, a world champion fancy dancer, and an indigenous content creator, on top of being a dedicated father and husband. He's been dancing his whole life and now travels around the world competing and teaching.
Welcome to the pod, Simon Washee.
Thank you for having me.
For our listeners out there, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, and how you got to be where you are today?
My name is Simon Washee. I'm a fourth-generation fancy dancer. My dad, when I was born, he took me to powwows, and he would hold my arms and let me dance. And from there on out, he practiced with me, made my regalias, me and my brother, took us to powwows, got into it. I was just a normal kid, playing sports, dancing. I didn't realize there was two different worlds, but I was living in two different worlds at once. I'm going through elementary, high school. Somewhere along the lines, my dad inspired me to be a champion fancy dancer. He started taking me to powwows. We started recording, and we started working together. And eventually, once I graduated, I took it into my own hands and started traveling and living a life of dancing and teaching about what we do.
And you guys are both from Pryor, so maybe, we just found that out, too, which is really cool.
Yeah, Pryor is not a big enough town for us to not really have interacted that much, and only being 1 year apart in high school. I was kind of in my own little realm there with band and student council, and my class was like 150 people when I graduated, somewhere around there, and it's shocking the amount of people I meet, and they're like, yeah, we went to high school together. And I was like, wow. I don't know at what point I knocked my head and forgot half of the people I went to high school with, but I guess it
It definitely happens.
So how does being Cherokee play into fancy dancing?
Very interesting. So a lot of people, they like to say, oh, powwows aren't a Cherokee thing. We don't powwow. But in today's time, it's something that we do. And it's something that we have for all of our tribes to celebrate. And the fancy dance is one of those things. When I tell people I'm a fancy dancer and then I'm also Cherokee, they almost can't believe it. And then I have to tell them, yes, we're a real tribe down in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of our guests have talked about that. We have people who do traditional dress, and a lot of our stuff that we think of as traditional now wasn't always traditionally Cherokee, but it's been this melding of cultures over the time. And I think powwow is really interesting with that, because you tell somebody who's Cherokee that does powwow that Cherokee isn't powwow, that's, it's a problem, because it's something that a lot of Cherokees dedicate their lives to. So it's really interesting.
And can you tell us a little bit about your family? You also have a little kiddo.
I actually have two kids, one named Layson and one Astro. Layson just turned 7, Astro is about to turn 4, and they're both fancy dancers, and they've been dancing since they could walk.
That is so cool.
Just trying to inspire them to kind of be like me in a way, and maybe get a good step forward.
When did you start fancy dancing? Can you kind of just take us through what your origin story is and who introduced you, and when did you get serious about it?
Funny thing is, when I first started dancing, I started with the grass dance, and I danced it till about 4 or 5 years old. Then I moved out to Oklahoma from San Diego, California. I lived with my aunt, and I seen my cousin Justin fancy dance for the first time. Yeah, he got my heart pumping, my heart racing, and I was ready to fancy dance after that. And so my dad made me a fancy dance regalia. We started practicing. Over the years, going to powwow. At first, it was kind of serious, but not really. And then around 12 or 13, I took a break. That's when I eventually started taking it serious, about sophomore year in high school. I practiced before school, after school, before bed, hour. I would weight lift every day till I couldn't stand no more. And then when I turned 18, I graduated high school and started hitting the powwow trail. Some powwows I won, some powwows I lost. It was a gamble, and especially when no one knows who you are. I was traveling around, and then was about 2015. I won this big championship in Peoria, $2,000 first place. And I took that money, and I went and I traveled South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana. Went from powwow to powwow all summer, every weekend. And
wow.
I lost every single powwow. And then I was down to my last $200, and I went to this powwow, and I won 3rd place in a team dance special. Then I got in a tiebreaker and won 5th place, and then I don't remember how much I won, but it was enough to keep me going. And I went from powwow to powwow, and luckily, that was 2015, so 10 years I've been running that winning streak.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That takes a lot of dedication. You had talked about your dad helping you with your regalia, and I know, talking to other dancers, that it's something that's super individual and unique and also tells a story, like you're wearing your beaded medallion today. Can you kind of talk about how that decision gets made, what your regalia is going to be, maybe themes, maybe colors, maybe, and kind of what that represents?
So when you're making your regalia, for me, it's really hard because we have a lot of designs. There's a lot of places to put designs. And so it was inspired by the Oklahoma sunset. We put that sunset in each one of the horses on my outfit. Each symbol, each design has a meaning, and it goes back from my family to our tribal history, as well as our traditional tribal designs on the Arapaho side. And so, yeah, my dad... growing up, he just would make me whatever he was inspired by. Usually he would look up some Cherokee symbolism or Cheyenne Arapaho symbolism, and he would add that to our regalia. And that's kind of how we go from there. When you're creating this stuff, there's no limit of what you can and can't do. Each artist that makes it has their own meaning behind it. For me, I'm not really the artist, but I did design some of it, and the artist painted the picture for me.
Yeah.
And you kind of talked about, going to different powwows. How often are you gone from home?
Sometimes months at a time.
Oh
Like
my God.
this summer, I've been on the road for 2 months. Last year, I was in Germany. I lived in Germany for about a month doing dance shows and teaching dance classes and workshops. And every summer, we're gone about 2 to 3 months. If my kids weren't in school, we'd probably be gone about 4, 5, 6 months.
Wow, that's really cool. What are some of your most favorite places that you've traveled to?
Oh, the Black Hills has to be my favorite, for sure. Montana's beautiful. New Mexico is very beautiful, too. I like it out there.
How'd you get into traveling and doing, teaching, dancing and stuff?
The traveling part came from wanting to be a champion fancy dancer. I looked up to people like Spike Draper and Isaiah Bob, and they traveled all throughout powwow country, hitting all the powwows back to back. That's what I aspired to do. Along the way, in 2015, when I was on that run, I ran across this guy named Bruce Niconi. Turned out to be one of my best friends. He put me on with this band called Brûlé, and they do a contemporary Native American rock performances. And I started doing shows with them, and that's basically how I got my foot in the door, and I learned that I like to teach and I like to dance. It eventually led me on a good path, going overseas to Saudi Arabia, Germany, all over. And
That's really cool.
It's interesting that it's taken you elsewhere in the world. We've talked about this before. There's been recently a huge influx of people interested in, native culture, legitimate native culture, and maybe righting some of the wrongs of the past and, getting an actual education in culture. So it's interesting that has spread even farther than the borders of the United States.
We're big fans, obviously, because we keep up with you on social media, and we're always bugging you at Cherokee National Holiday, so we can have you do some TikToks with us or for us. But in the past years, how have you used social media to grow your presence?
I've used it to promote our native culture, promote powwow culture and fancy dance, to try to cross that bridge of cultural exchange. When I was doing my stuff overseas, I often got asked if we still lived in teepees or if we still hunted for our food. And so I'd kind of just teach them, no, we don't. We actually started this social media to promote that. So
That's really cool.
A common theme that we see amongst our guests is melding the culture and tradition with the technology. How do you use that as a platform to further the culture?
just being able to bring my dances to the public. Most people don't get to see our dances or even know about them. And so to bring that to them, to be able to have our phones to do that is something new that we haven't been able to do, because back in the day, sometimes when we would do our dances, we weren't able to have the public's view. We weren't allowed to have the public in the area at all. And so nowadays, to be able to bring it to the public is something new, something different. Also, it's changing things as we speak, so it's definitely different.
Running your own social media, we know is a lot of work. Me and Ryan, that's what we do on a daily basis. But for you, what's something about running your social media that people might not be aware of?
You'll have a lot of videos that you probably don't use.
No, I know that's true. You can like scroll in my videos and cameras, like, and seen tons of stuff that we haven't used. How do you come up with so many creative ideas?
Sometimes I get inspired by other TikToks. Sometimes my wife kind of like, hey, this would be a good idea. So we do it. And then sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't care what people think. I'm just going to try this to see what the people say.
Mm-hmm.
Interacting with you at Cherokee National Holiday, I didn't realize that we had such a celebrity in our presence. What's it like having a little bit of notoriety and people seeing you and being, oh, you're that guy, and that coming from your culture too.
Being a fancy dancer, I'm kind of used to it. When I won the world championships in 2018, that's when it kind of like picked up. People, hey, you're the world champion. And then when my friends were like, yeah, you should make a TikTok now. And when I did, now everywhere I go throughout the whole country, every powwow, everything, someone's like, oh, I follow you on TikTok. It's weird because I only have 40,000, but small world.
Yeah. The native world especially, it's like you're going to know somebody who knows somebody, whether that's a good thing or not,
So what are your handles so people can follow you that want to follow you?
I'm on TikTok at Simon Washee. I'm on Instagram at flashyfeet_. I'm also on Facebook at Simon Washee.
Awesome.
You can find me on YouTube as well, Simon Washee.
Oh.
Powwow is something that it's becoming more public, but a lot of people, even within the native world, aren't really keyed into the behind the scenes. What's an average night of like preparation before you go perform and compete?
So the average night, basically a lot of packing, a lot of making sure you have everything and everything's clean. All your things are put together nicely, as well as eating a good meal, for sure, eating a good meal. Usually I compete, so typically the night before I'm stretching, I'm watching powwow videos, I'm doing a light practice, and just kind of thinking of the game plans going through, as well as getting my family ready. Because when we get there, there's so many people, so many things going on that you have to have everything ready.
The energy, if you haven't been to a powwow, is hard to describe. And I can only imagine, and this is me seeing it from the crowd, I can only imagine how it feels out on the dance circle.
Yeah, dance circle.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a real good feeling. Sometimes when you get out there, you're kind of just dancing to dance away the bad things, or might get things off your mind. But once that power spirit comes into the arena and it calls, you feel it and you get those goosebumps. You could tell because everybody starts dancing. It's a real good feeling. If it's feeling like you're on top of the earth, like the only things that matter are you and that drum.
That's awesome. And that kind of leads me into another question I have. At the end of the day, it's a competition. Do you approach it like that, or are you out there for the experience and for the emotions?
Well, typically at a powwow, the powwow is a powwow, but inside the powwow we have our competitions. Mm-hmm. So as I approach the powwow, I approach it as a whole. The experience, the family, the friends, teaching people, definitely showcasing my dance without the competition as in an artistic way. And as well as the artistic part, or the competition part, where I could get my mind right and treat it like it's a battle.
I love that.
What are the categories that you guys are scored on, and how is a fancy dance specifically scored in the competition?
So it varies. There's a lot of things that go into it. One of the main ones that we do are the songs. Our powwows are kind of like rodeo in a way that when they sing you that song, it's kind of like that bull. You don't know what it's going to do. Our song, you don't know what it's going to do. Might trick stop, might hit some downbeats when you're not ready.
So there's the different drum groups and things like that
and as well as your moves, the way you move, your style. And lots of the smaller powwows, Sometimes it's the people that you're dancing with are judges, and sometimes it's like you're judging your friends, and so it's hard to pick. It really depends on powwow. There's so many ways it could go. Sometimes the best tricks, sometimes the best moves, and sometimes the one that has the audience the most.
Is there a preferred drum group that you like to sync, that you find yourself doing a better performance with versus others? I'm not trying to start a turf war, but is there one that fits your style maybe more than others?
There's a couple. Mato Pajuta is one of them, and then the other one is Motown Singers.
Oh, wow. And where are they out of?
Omaha, Nebraska, and Rapid City, South Dakota,
Oh, wow.
I think.
It is truly a countrywide event.
Yeah, and like down here, we're lucky because we could travel like an hour and go to a powwow. Up there, they have to travel 4 or 5 hours to go to a powwow, sometimes longer than that.
Yeah. I guess you are in a hotbed with there being 39 tribes within just Oklahoma itself, on top of the, I think there's, also like municipal powwows and things like that. So do you feel like that's influenced you as well, getting a bit of all the cultures and all the powwows?
It has a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any other place that you can go where you can experience so many different tribes in such a small amount of area. You could go to a powwow and Apache and learn their ways, and it's a lot different than our ways up here in Comanche country and Ponca country, and each one has their own way of throwing their powwow. Like I said, up north, you got to drive 4 hours to this one and 5 hours to this one, and so down here, it's definitely been influencing.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about powwow dancing and fancy dancing, maybe specifically?
That we just dance to dance, that there's no set specific style, when in reality we have dozens of styles and dozens of ways to dance. Another misconception is that you could just put on the regalia or buy the regalia, which you can't really do. It takes time, and you have to be kind of brought into it. And kind of like with the fancy dance, when they hear the fancy dance, they think you just dance all crazy, when in reality, the dance comes from the war dance, and so it has a specific style all the way out until today's time. People, they just think it's, powwow dancing is just this big party, when it's really, we have our ceremonies, traditions around the powwow, as well as our competitions. And like the fancy war dance, we have like the world championship fancy dance competition, and people don't even realize that.
You were talking about you can't just become one overnight. Is there sort of a process of acceptance and a process of the other people see that you're actually serious about it and kind of bring you in?
You can be born into it, or if you're not born into it, you can be adopted into it. And for me, I was born into it, so it's a little bit easier. But for some other people that come into this, they'd have to respect it and learn to dance, learn the story behind it, and also like kind of find a mentor that would bring them into the arena. That's kind of like your grand entry for your first dance.
At the end of the night, how do you feel? Are you drained? Are you energized? Or do you stay up all night from all the energy?
Yeah.
Or do you crash instantly?
Sometimes I'm drained. It depends on the powwow. And then sometimes you're like, I wish it didn't end.
Yeah.
I wish it would go on another day. Sometimes powwows can go on 3 days, 6 sessions. We're lucky down here. We just have to powwow the afternoon sessions.
Oh, nice.
Most of the time, I feel like it's never enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to go somewhere else. That's why we had 49s back in the day. We go sing 49s.
What's that mean?
So it's like an after party for the powwow.
Oh, okay.
And they take their hand
Oh.
drums and they would go sing 49 songs
Oh,
and
okay.
Oh,
just have a
nice.
big get together.
Okay.
Nice. We're not
learning.
well versed, but we're trying.
Yeah.
We respect your craft a lot.
Yeah, it's really cool. And this episode is really focused on you, but also the Cherokee National Holiday. And I have to ask, when was your first Cherokee National Holiday?
I had to have been about 6 or 7 years old. That's my first memory of Cherokee Holiday. I danced in the Tiny Tots with my brother.
Oh,
I was a fancy dancer, and my brother was a traditional dancer. And my greatest memory from that powwow was dancing around in Tiny Tots, and my brother standing right behind me, poking me in the back every time.
what year was that?
2002.
Wow.
somewhere around there.
Well, I asked because we're going through a lot of our archives from all the holidays in the past. We may spot him.
Yeah.
We'll have to.
You'll
keep
for
an eye
sure
out.
find me in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think we have a question from producer Brian.
I noticed last year on our video, it went viral. Like our phones were buzzing like for weeks after that with comments, questions. The biggest question I saw was, how do you pick your colors? Like thousands of people were asking that.
Interesting question. How I picked my colors was based off of the black light. How like you see the neons and they glow. And I wanted to have Regalia that when they turned on the black light, it would glow. And so I picked the greens, purples, blue, everything neon.
That is really cool. And I think the people who were commenting, like thousands of comments, will be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And along with that, how has your look evolved over the years? Have you added that in? Are you taking pieces from your past regalias and adding it in?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything from the past and what I'm looking for to try to change in fancy dance. My colors originally were blue, orange, and white. And I had those colors all the way until I was about 13, and then I added fire colors, orange neon. After a while, I got kind of bored of that and changed it up to the neons. But with that, I added the hackle bustles, the plumes on my head, a bigger roach. I started getting bigger bells. Some of the things that you should do in our dance. But at the time, there wasn't anybody that had a fully beaded apron like me. And so I decided to do that. And so that was something I always wanted to do. I had never done in the past, but I got it done. And now I'm going to actually have something new here soon. Not at this holiday, but next holiday. You guys will see it.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
We can't wait.
So you said you're the first one you know of to have a fully beaded apron. So are you saying you're a trendsetter? There's more that's come along?
I mean, there was like here and there, but as far as like anyone near my age, I was definitely the only one.
Setting the standard
Yeah.
as a world champ.
How old was your son whenever you introduced him to dancing? Or your
He was
children?
he was born into it. I think his first power was the World Championships, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And then the same with my other son too. His first power was Ponca Pow-wow.
Oh, wow.
And so they heard that beat from like the week they were born until now. I really just try to take them out there and dance with them as much as I can to try to get them to learn that beat, that heartbeat. I never really train them. I kind of just let them feel how they do. And that's kind of like the old way we think of it is like let them learn how to do it. They'll find their way.
I definitely have footage of you two out there somewhere. And if I'm not mistaken, his regalia matches yours, correct?
Yep,
guys
and my youngest.
Oh,
We
wow.
all
That's so
three match.
cute. Oh my gosh. Are they doing tiny tots?
Yep.
Yeah, that is so cute.
We're
You
gonna-
need to find I was gonna say you need to find a picture of you and then have a picture of them and do like a side by side
Yeah.
picture.
I definitely think I have at least a video clip of you and your youngest son.
When it goes to like the colors and everything, we can spot you throughout the whole crowd. We're like, there he is. Let's beeline for him so we can make him do a TikTok. No, I'm just kidding.
That's why I picked those colors.
Yeah. Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you
Yeah.
would like to talk about? What's your favorite story?
Well, my favorite story was basically when I met her, my wife.
Aw.
Shout out.
I was actually on the Powwow Trail from May till about July, and I did some shows up in the Black Hills. And I was going from powwow to powwow in South Dakota, and she seen me at one, and she had recognized me from a few years earlier. And then she shot me a message on Facebook, and then we met. And a few weeks later, I ended up staying with my best friend on his reservation, the Cheyenne River Sioux reservation. Okay. And then I ran into her at Family Dollar. And then we went to that local powwow the very next weekend. And then from there, we've been inseparable.
Aww.
A real powwow love story.
Yeah.
And now we got 2 kids and we powwow full time. It's definitely been a real trip.
I want to end our podcast like we do every podcast. So we always ask a question.
Oh, yeah. You gotta-
Years from now, when people think about Simon Washee, what do you hope your legacy will be?
I hope my legacy will be greatness, but a greatness in a way that inspires the youth to do something. For me, like when I told you, I started to take that wrong path when I was younger. It was dancing and that drum beat and that circle that brought me back. So I hope that I can do the same.
We've really torn through the questions. You've introduced us to a whole new world and side of things. You're a true celebrity, as we like to call them. And it's an honor to have you here. Thanks for taking the time out of it.
I appreciate being on. Thank you guys for having me.
Wado.
Siyo from the Res was recorded at the W.W. Keeler Tribal Complex in Tahlequah on the Cherokee Nation Reservation.
This episode was hosted by Kenley Keys and Colton Brandstetter.
Our producer is Brian Dugan.
Our podcast art was designed by Justine Eden.
This episode was edited by Samantha Robinson.
Soundtrack by Chuge Mackey.
If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and leave a review. It'll help more people find us, and please share this episode with your family and friends, especially some of our elders who may not be on social media or listen to podcasts.
And don't forget to follow Cherokee Nation on social media for podcast updates and behind-the-scenes content.
We want to hear from you. Do you know any Cherokee Nation citizens that have an interesting story? Email us at podcast@cherokee.org.
Until next time, stay connected, watch out for each other, and see
Siyo
yo
from
from the
the
res.
res.